Alright, so today I'm replacing the rear struts on a Toyota Solara. It's a 2001 2.2 liter engine, and there are plenty of videos on how to do this whole procedure down here on a Camry. Now the reason why I'm even making this video is because when you go to the access panel back here inside the vehicle to get to the top bolts on the strut, it's a little bit different on a Solara, and there are no videos on how to do it properly. You're going to start by basically just ripping up the seat here. I've already done this, so it's a little easier for me. I don't have to worry about the seat belts. Basically, when you're back here, you got these little clips up here. Pull up on that, pull it forward. Same thing right here. Now when you get back here, there's videos of a guy drilling holes through his plastic and then cutting out a notch right here. You don't have to do that, all right? You could just take apart the interior like the manufacturer intended. There's a bunch of these little disc connectors here. I can't remember what you're supposed to call them, but they're kind of a pain sometimes. I think that's better than drilling holes into your plastic here. You know, you really don't have to do that. So like I said, on a Camry, you've got this little panel on the side that you can just rip out, and then boom, your bolts are right under there. But like I said, this is a Solara, and it's a little bit different. So I'm gonna start up top here. You've got these little clip things. Rip these little clips off like that. That's what I'm gonna start with. Takes a 12mm socket. Alright, so I've got those 3 clips off the top right here. I've already gone through and I've pulled out some of these connectors. You got a couple down here, some right there, a couple right there and there. And my next step is going to be to go over here to my handle over here on the back. I'm gonna pry off this little clip, pry off the little clip. Top one should fall off. I'm gonna put it up there. And you've got another little bolt right here, so I'm gonna go ahead and take my handle off. Okay, it turns out it actually is a size 10, but it was so loose that I thought it was too big. Take that off, carefully grab that. Same thing on the bottom. And I'm gonna go ahead and keep putting everything up here. Might be kind of dangerous because there's holes and stuff, but we'll see what happens. Now you got your handle off in the back here, you can rip the whole thing apart. Look at that. This thing just comes right apart, doesn't it? All right. Oh, look at that. Oh, that's beautiful. All right. So go ahead and stick my seatbelt here. All right, on the top panel up here, got another one of these little things that requires the hook. Like that, and we got a screw. Sucker. All right, so when you get this top panel off right here, you pull it down like that, and when you get here to release the underneath panel with the top panel, stuck a screwdriver right here and just pried it up like that, and they kind of popped apart. They should pop together relatively easy. So I've got this. I'm just going to yank it down and bend it down in front of me. And now I can pull all of this junk off. And finally, we've got another clip here. This is actually what it starts to look like with the Camry. You didn't have to do any of that with the Camry, but I'm gonna take that little connector off, and I should be able to take the whole top part out, and there's probably another connector underneath this plastic part, the one that was drilled through. All right, people, prepare yourself. This is gonna look like a mess. But with that being said, you don't have to completely take apart the interior. You just have to unbuckle everything that is in your way. You can actually get in here, stick my head underneath this one. Ooh, almost dropped my camera. Go in here like this. I took off one of the connector pieces that was underneath the carpeted area with your like little speakers. Pull apart all of these little clips, and the beautiful thing about the inside of here is there's these little clips that just punch into here, and you just pop them right back in place when you're done. But for all of this work, there's one bolt right there, there's two, and there's three. So unbolt those, and then you can pretty much just lower out the strut. And I didn't have to drill into anything or cut or destroy any plastic. It probably took me an extra 15 or 20 minutes to get there, but there it is. And you have, you know, you have all this wiggle room right here. You've got all this wiggle room to unbolt those. You don't have to work like, you know, I've seen, you know, the guy cut a little square right here into the plastic. And he had like 3 inches of wiggle room to, like, you know, I guess like undo a little wrench like this. That would kind of suck. So I've got all this room right here to do that. Oh, a little clip popped out, and actually it, your little clips, if they pop out, they just punch back in there, and the little hole that's on the thing, it just pops right over top of that. Then of course when you're done, literally all of these plastic pieces and clips, they just pop back into place. I mean, it's so easy. They pop right back into place. You don't have to worry about, you know, anything weird happening, unless of course you broke a bunch of the clips like I did. They'll just have to lay in place instead of pop in place, which really isn't that big of a deal. So, yep, there you go. All right, this last one you're gonna have to get with an open face wrench, because of the way that this thing is made. But fortunately, as soon as you break it loose, you should actually be able to do the rest by hand. You have like no room in here to get a ratchet in there, so you're gonna have to get that one by hand. But the first two are pretty easy to get with a ratchet, and you should be able to just lower it down as if you've done the first parts by the wheel well already, and then you can just go ahead and replace it and put everything back together. So I was just in the middle of that mess right there, taking those 3 bolts out. Finally got them out. So I've got all of this stuff unhooked and unbolted already, and there's other videos on how to do that on a Camry, so I figured I wouldn't even include that. And now I can kind of see there's pieces of the boot missing and stuff like that, so that's kind of why I'm replacing it. Basically, I'm gonna go ahead and lower my jack a little bit because I got it underneath the drum. Right? So that's lowered, and I should be able to pretty much grab that, pull it out. There's my bolt holes right there. Put the new one in and bolt everything back together, and you should be good to go. Alright, so I just wanted to show you guys something. I replaced the strut on this side. Everything is back together. Everything looks good. Over here on the other side, walk over here real quick. Got everything taken apart, just like I did over there. I've got everything, punched out on this side, and it'll buckle back in, beautifully, just like that side did. But I wanted to kind of, I guess, explain why there are no videos on someone doing the struts, the rear struts on a 2001 Toyota Solara, is because this, the way that that the back is made over here is completely different than the Toyota Camry. The Toyota Camry has this whole wall that just pops out and you can unscrew it very easily. The reason why the Solara, you know, there's no videos on the Solara is because I have to do this. You know, I have to completely unbuckle all of this, which this really isn't that bad. I mean, it just buckles right back into place. It looks like a mess, but I guess, you know, the video of the guy who, you know, cut out a big square in there to try to do that, I would have to say that that would not even work. And the reason why I'm filming this is to show you that what I have to do is I have to, like, crawl under here and then start pulling all this stuff out. And I already actually unbolted them, but I was going to show you something. Okay, first of all, if this panel is right here and I were to cut a rectangle, right? First of all, I would have to cut a pretty big rectangle. This covering here is over top, all down on this line. I would have had to cut into that because look at where my bolts are. They're up over top of this carpeted area. So if I were to cut a little square down into here, that wouldn't even work. Not even to mention, when I'm down here like that, I've got everything, I'm holding, you know, the phone and all of the plastic back with one hand. I don't have enough room here, and these bolts are actually lowered. They were like poking up about this high, but I've got everything unbolted underneath the vehicle near the brakes, so it actually dropped slightly as I was unbolting it. I have absolutely no room to get a socket in there, because that is ideally what I would like to do. You can't use a short nose because the bolts are too long. I tried. So you're left using the long socket right here. I can't get on top of that bolt because of this up here. I can't get on top of it. Like I said, you can't use a short one because when everything is bolted on, those bolts are that high right there. So the short one won't even go on it. This one, I would say maybe. I don't think I was actually able to. And the one in the back here was a big heck no. There's no way that you're getting on top of that. So I had to use a wrench for the entire thing. I'm sitting here doing one little space at a time, you know? Even though I have all this room, I'm having to do, you know, one little piece at a time. So I'm making it sound a lot worse than it actually was. It really wasn't, you know, the worst thing in the world. But that would probably be why there are no videos of someone doing it on a Solara, because you have to do all that and then buckle it back in. So I just wanted to show you real quick what I was talking about, the bolts and the clearance under here. There is not a lot of room. That first one I can get a ratchet on. The other two I had to use an open face wrench, and I was turning it 1/8 or 1/4 turns the entire time.